Hey, you've tuned into another math lesson. This time it's 7-5 adding mixed numbers, and all of our skills are going to come together and we're going to use them today that we've been learning for Chapter 7. Once you have your name and the date and the topic, we're going to get into it in 3, 2, 1. Please check your homework from 7-3. Yes, we did skip 7-4, and that's okay. Moving on in 3, 2, 1. Let's zoom in on our example. Adding mixed numbers. How do you find the sum of mixed numbers? The students in Mr. Lopez's science class measured the rainfall each day for 2 weeks. The amounts for each week are listed in the table. What was the total amount of rainfall for the 2 weeks? Here I see the table. I see week 1 and week 2. They use the word total amount for the 2 weeks. That tells me that I'm going to add these two rainfall amounts together. So in choosing an operation, I'm going to add to find the total amount of rainfall for the 2 weeks. So the question would be, how could I add mixed numbers like that? The order that we're going to go today is we're going to add the fractions first, meaning 1/2 and 3/9, and then we're going to add the whole numbers to our answer. I remember that because they both start with F. Alright, so step 1, we just want to make sure that we're going to get about the right answer. 2 and 1/2, we know that would be 2.5, that's about 3. 1 and 9/10, we know that's 1 and 9/10, that's closer to 2. So our answer should be around 5. Let's go to step 2 with the clue word of rodeo cowboy. Find the least common denominator of the fractions and use it to write equivalent fractions. So, upon making a list of our denominator numbers, 2 and 10, I know that 10 is the least common multiple. Therefore, for 1/2, what do I need to multiply that by so 10 is on the bottom? 5 over 5. So that's how they got 5, and that's how they got 10. For 1 and 9/10, we can keep 9/10 exactly the same because there's already 10 on the denominator. So when I add those, first I would want to add the fractions. Fractions first. 5 plus 9, that's 14/10. And then we add our whole numbers. 2 plus 1 is 3. Now I have an issue here. This is called an improper fraction, and you might have noticed that very quickly. If you get an answer like this, you can't leave it that way. So let's find out what we're going to do with it. So we're going to rename or change our improper fractions, which are 14/10, to a mixed number. And thank goodness that we already learned how to do that. Oh, do you not remember that? Well, I'm dividing it just like this, and I'm making it to a mixed number, which I know has a whole number and a fraction, so I'm not putting a decimal here. 10 goes in once, with a remainder of 4 that we bring up 4/10. We just renamed or changed an improper fraction of 14/10 to 1 and 4/10. So now we have 3 plus 1 and 4/10, which is 14/10 here. We just separated it out. So now we can add the whole number and the fraction. We can add 3 plus 1, that's 4, and we just tack on that 4/10 to the end. 4 and 4/10. Oh, now we're supposed to simplify. Can I divide 4 and 10 by the same thing? I can divide that by 2 over 2, and then I get 2/5. 4 and 2/5 is my final answer. So the total rainfall was 4 and 2/5 inches. You do not have vocab notes for today. Woohoo! Here's example 1. And I'm remembering that I'm going to do the fractions first. So I'm going to specifically only look at 1/2 and 2/3 first. And I know that I cannot add them unless there's a like denominator. There's a certain point where some of these you can do in your head, and you're like, what's the lowest number that both 2 and 3 can multiply to? That's 6. So you have 1/2, and what do I multiply 1/2 by so that 6 is on the bottom? Well, that's 3 over 3. So now I have 3/6. 2/3. What do I multiply it by so that 6 is on the bottom? 2/2. So I get 4/6. I look back and I see that we're adding. So I add 3/6 plus 4/6. And I get 7/6. I know that 7/6 is an improper fraction. I know that I can't leave it that way. And I need to make it into a mixed number. So I'm going to divide 7 divided by 6. It goes in once, with a remainder of 1. I want to put that over 6. So 7/6, I changed it into a mixed number of 1 and 1/6. So now I did my fraction. I did fractions first. Now I'm going to add the whole numbers. 5 plus 9. 5 plus 9 equals 14. And then I can add it to my fraction sum that I got earlier, 1 and 1/6. So I have 14 plus 1 and 1/6 equals 15 and 1/6. And that's my answer. Going on to the second example for example 1. I know that I'm going to do fractions first. I have 4/5 and 6/7. I'm thinking, what is a number that both 5 and 7 can multiply to? Well, I know that's 35. 35 will be our denominator. So I have 4/5. What do I multiply 5 by so that 35 is on the bottom? By 7 over 7. I have 28 35ths. Next I have 6/7. What do I need to multiply that by so 35 is on bottom? By 5 over 5. So I get 30. I see that I am also adding these. So I have 28 35ths plus 30 35ths. And I will get 58 35ths. That is also an improper fraction. I cannot leave it that way. We need to change it into a mixed number. 35 on the side, 58 goes in once with a remainder of 23. I'm going to bring the 23 up here and put it over 35. So we made 58 35ths equal to 1 and 23 35ths. Now I can add my whole numbers. 6 plus 8, I see those right here, is equal to 14. And then I'm going to add it to the fractions. I already added the fractions, and they were equal to 1 and 23 35ths. So 14 plus 1 and 23 35ths is equal to 15 and 23 35ths. And that is prime. Moving on in 3, 2, 1. Here's example 2. Please try to do these by yourself, coming back for the answers in 3, 2, 1. So here's how we found the sum of our fractions. Right here, ending up being 1 and 1/10. Next, we add our whole numbers in 2 and 4, which equals 6. Then we'll add 6 plus 1 and 1/10, which gives me 7 and 1/10, which is my answer. Doing the next one in 3, 2, 1. First, I found my least common multiple of 36. Then I changed both fractions so that 36 was the denominator. Next, I needed to add them together, giving me 55. 55, 36. I cannot leave it like that. I need to make it into a mixed number, which would leave me with 1 and 19 36ths. Next, let's add the whole numbers. 8 plus 6 equals 14. Then add 14 plus 1 and 19 36ths, giving me 15 and 19 36ths. You cannot simplify 19 36ths, and that is your final answer. Moving on in 3, 2, 1. Here's independent or partners practice. Please pick 2 of these to do. Please X off the other 2. The answers are coming in 3, 2, 1. Here are your answers for independent or partners practice. At this time, please choose 1, 2, or 3. Thank you for watching this video, and please don't forget you're awesome.